Elon Musk is absolutely losing it, and he needs to shut the F up. Actually, having a new CEO for Tesla might not be that bad. Since that was a rumor that was circulating last week, part of me is starting to actually like the idea, because I think Elon Musk has become a little bit unhinged. In this video, we're going to talk about that and how it's affecting Tesla stock, given that the stock is down over 4% today, while the Nasdaq is flat. Now, this could be due to substantial tax loss harvesting, because Tesla has performed very badly this year, not due to fundamentals at all. The fundamentals of a slowdown in China should represent a nominal impact to the fundamentals of Tesla stock, especially since we can export a good chunk of vehicles not sold in China, and of course we can make other adjustments to ensure that as many vehicles Tesla produces are actually sold, whether those are to rental car companies or shipped to Europe or to the United States or other parts of Asia or otherwise. The demand being fulfilled should not be the issue. The real issue that is dragging Tesla stock down is very simple. It's that Elon Musk bought Twitter using Tesla stock. Elon Musk has openly said that he finances Twitter losses with Tesla stock. Elon Musk has openly told us on earnings calls, oh, Tesla one day will be worth as much as Apple and Saudi Aramco combined, but then sold $20 billion worth of Tesla right after those comments. Seems a little sussy. Something that isn't really something that we want to see a long-term supporter of Tesla stock do. Now, look, we understand it's okay for entrepreneurs to have their own ambitions, but the Twitter ambition is a massive overhang on Tesla stock, because it's essentially the piggy bank. The more volatile issues are at Twitter, the more Tesla stock suffers, because the expectation is that fewer and fewer advertisers will actually be able to go to the Twitter platform, leading to a greater risk of losses at Twitter, and a greater risk of losses at Twitter potentially means Elon Musk selling more stock. It was just last week that Elon Musk, apparently in discussions, rumored and reported by Bloomberg, was in talks to potentially margin, or I should say refinance up to $13 billion of Twitter debt using his stocks as margin collateral, his Tesla stock that is, to lower the interest expense at Twitter. So, if you are a Tesla investor, you are extremely righteous to be frustrated over Elon Musk's Twitter acquisition. However, I do have confidence that Elon Musk will rightfully clean up Twitter via its expenses, and I believe at some point it will become profitable. That is, of course, unless Elon Musk walks off of, well, a cliff, which seems to be what he's doing right now with his polarizingness. Elon Musk has always been someone who's been cheered, always been someone who's been respected by the vast majority of people. Yet, unfortunately, when Elon Musk walked out onto stage in San Francisco at the Dave Chappelle show just recently, it sounded like there were more boos than cheers, even though Elon Musk suggests that, 90% were cheers and 10% were boos. It was just the loud extreme lefties. It sounded like there were a lot of boos. And reportedly, according to Breaking Points, the Twitter account that posted the video of Elon Musk getting booed is now deleted from Twitter, which almost seems to stand directly in contrast to Elon Musk's free speech protocols at Twitter, if that is what happened. Maybe that's not what happened. Nobody knows. Maybe somebody created a burner account and deleted it to try to set that sort of thesis up, right? Entirely possible. Nobody knows. But here's the reality. Elon Musk is an executive. He needs to behave like an executive. We know he's had issues with this before. That's why he's gotten in trouble from the SEC. When you are under somebody else's institutions, like you are a publicly listed company under the jurisdiction of the SEC, you need to respect the jurisdiction. You have to respect the law enforcement of securities, and that is the SEC. And Elon Musk has been fined for disrespecting them. He's publicly ridiculed them, just trying to do their jobs. Look, if you mess up and you make a mistake, it's okay to be frustrated. But at some point, you also have to realize that if you effed up, you effed up. You know, people go through those realizations. I go through those realizations, and I realize, like, look, you know, if you F up, you break the rules, you get in trouble. That's just the way it works. It's just the way it works. But the problem is not so much Elon's disrespect now for the SEC, it's his disrespect for people's political beliefs. See, something that you have to remember is Democrats are roughly twice as likely to buy an electric vehicle as Republicans. And in my opinion, your goal as a regular human being in society should be to try to appeal to 80% of perspectives, right? You don't really, in my opinion, need to appeal to the far left or the far right, because I actually think those fringes are not very normal. And just by the definition of a bell curve with 80% in the middle and 10% on each side, normal would be defined as what's in the middle. I really consider myself a substantial in the middle person politically. There are things on the left I like, there are things on the right I like. You could look at my 20-point plan when I ran for governor in California. I called myself a JFK Democrat. I stand for common things that I think we can all agree on. Financial education in schools, solve homelessness, build more housing so we don't have a housing affordability problem. Right? These are normal things we should all stand for. Of course, we might disagree with how to handle those things, but I did not run a campaign on the ideology that I need to go out and make sure people stop using pronouns or, try to go kill wokeism or whatever. Like if one side says woke, go broke, and the other side wants to go woke, I don't care about the extremes. I care about the middle. And if I'm an executive of a company that is trying to attract advertisers, even though I want to promote free speech, I want other people around me to have free speech, but I wouldn't want to say things that I might think, but freely say those things if I'm actually trying to attract advertisers. Nobody's taking away your speech, but if you say things that are stupid and advertisers pull out, now you're just conducting bad business. So I want to be very clear about that. Some people, when they hear me say Elon should shut the F up, they think Elon should be silenced. That's not what I'm saying. Like, let other people say the crazy extreme things that you want to say. Give this stuff to journalists and let them say it, right? Like, that's okay. But when you are an executive trying to attract advertisers, you're just conducting, like, yes, you're using your free speech. That's fine. I'm totally okay, Elon Musk, with you having those opinions. But when you shout them out at the world, you're fine using your free speech. That's okay. But you're making a terrible business decision for Twitter, leading people to pressure advertisers to cancel. There are tweets with tens to hundreds of thousands of replies of individuals tagging companies like T-Mobile going, T-Mobile, you see what Elon's doing? You guys are advertising on the platform. Why are you still advertising? And people are pressuring, writing to T-Mobile going, stop advertising on Twitter. Well, that happens at scale. It's such a stupid business decision because now, Elon Musk, you are burning people who gave you the wealth you have, your investors. You're burning people who are trusting you in Twitter because you're screwing advertising potentials, and you're burning people who trusted you, would potentially still trust you, investing in Tesla by being a loose cannon. I tweeted the other day that I think Donald Trump is actually on Twitter. He's just on Twitter under Elon Musk's profile because he's being very divisive. But Donald Trump made money from being divisive. The business decision was the more divisive you are, the more money you get from your Republican base. For Elon Musk, it doesn't work that way. The more divisive you are, the more advertisers you lose, because what do advertisers want to attract? Well, if you're My Pillow, maybe you want to attract the right. But if you're 80% advertisers, you want to advertise to 80% of people, where the bulk of people are. And you're pissing people off. It's frustrating. So look, it's a buying opportunity. If you are somebody who says, look, the fundamentals of Tesla are sound, don't worry about this, this is just, short-term drama or whatever, great. That's a wonderful mindset to have. That's phenomenal. And I agree. I don't think the fundamentals for Tesla have changed at all. But you do have a loose cannon running the company now on Twitter. And that's bad. Let's go through some examples. This is okay, right? Deplatforming the president continued, right? The Twitter files, I support this. You're letting journalists share the story and you're bringing attention to it. I'm okay with you bringing attention to political problems. I'm okay with this. Here, migrant caravan passing into El Paso or whatever. Elon Musk replying, wow, that's okay. Great. Bring attention to these issues. Totally fine. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. The Branch Covidians are upset. Okay, so Branch Covidian used to be somebody who was like, so the old school Branch Covidian was like super anti-vax and like super anti-everything, right? Now a Branch Covidian is somebody who's considered somebody who's like pro-lockdown. So the definition has kind of changed a little bit. So really what he's saying here is like, oh no, the far lefties, I seem to have upset them. And it's just not good. Because now he's getting into these political discussions, like when people talk about vaccines, he says, oh, somehow the nation of Sweden is fine. Well, so he's sending this implication that, oh, okay, well, if Sweden is fine, maybe vaccines don't work in the context of his thread, which in effort to save time here, I'm not going through all of it. And he's not wrong. I mean, Sweden, to some degree, has a substantially lower excess death rate than other countries. It's, in fact, in one of the top two, right next to New Zealand. But that's not necessarily just because vaccines don't work. In fact, Sweden is substantially more vaccinated than we are. Their vaccination rate is about 4 to 5% higher than us. Not only that, they deem to be, based on studies that are still being conducted now, I mean, it'll take probably decades before we know the true reason why Sweden is doing so well, but the expectation is that Sweden is actually really good at keeping people vaccinated who are in those high-risk groups. Whereas the U.S. kind of had this, all right, everybody get vaccinated, and now people are kind of dropping off. They haven't gotten their boosters or whatever, especially the high-risk groups, so you potentially have a higher mortality rate. In the United States, if you look at the bottom here, in the United States, you could see the 10 least vaccinated states in the United States have an excess death rate in excess of, I believe it's 193, in excess of 193 excess deaths per 100,000. The 10 most vaccinated states in the United States are somewhere around 63 excess deaths per 100,000. And that is in line with Europe, with the exception of Sweden, which sits at about 32.4 excess deaths per 100,000, which is really good. But when you actually look at doses per person or per this is doses per 100 people. Sweden has about 20% more doses out per 100 people on average than the United States. And it's possible that those doses are going more directly to the vulnerable populations, your 60, 70, 80 plus. And so I think the healthcare system has substantial advantages in Sweden, but it doesn't mean that they're anti-vax. It just means that they're prioritizing people who are most likely to benefit from the vaccine rather than be injured, right? Anyway, so the point is, you see how long it took me to make that point? There's so much more detail that I just gave, no matter what side of the vaccine debate you're on. I don't think people should be forced to take the vaccine. I do think if you're over 70, 80, it's probably a good idea. There's probably more risk of you not taking it when you're over that age, but I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to impose that opinion. That's just, maybe that's the mainstream opinion, okay? I don't know. Again, but my point here is, look at how much information I just gave to at least make an argument versus how limited this is. Somehow the nation is, this just promotes cynicism, and that's not good. Or this, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci, and the truth resonates. This is my Donald Trump is on Twitter. He's just using Elon's profile tweet. Here he is responding to unhinged leftists or whatever. Note the thing about prosecute Fauci. Okay, so this has to do with Wuhan. Fauci went to Congress and told Congress that the National Institute of Health has not ever and does not fund gain-of-function research in Wuhan. Wuhan is where the idea is that the coronavirus was engineered and there was a lab leak, and that's how coronavirus got out, which is potentially very credible that is what happened. The idea here is that gain-of-function research basically makes certain organisms more effective. So, for example, you could enhance bacteria to improve the function of certain things. You can improve the function of insulin. You can, alter an organism like a virus and make it more contagious. So you can study the spread of contagious diseases like coronaviruses. Remember, the common cold is caused by 4 different types of coronaviruses, human coronaviruses. So coronaviruses are very, very, very normal colds. The COVID-19 that we think of, and then the strains of that, Delta, Omicron, and that, those are just more severe forms, right? To some degree, some people actually have found in research that if you had a cold and then you got exposed to COVID, you could actually have substantial immunity because there are similarities in the cell body of the common cold to COVID. Very, very interesting. But anyway, apparently then the National Institute of Health later came out and said the research we supported in China, where coronaviruses are prevalent, sought to understand the behavior of coronaviruses circulating in bats that have the potential to cause widespread disease. The body of science produced by this research demonstrates that bat coronavirus sequences published from the National Institute of Health supported were not SARS-CoV-2. So in other words, now you have this kind of blurry thing where it's like, wait, so the United States did fund coronavirus research, just not COVID-2 research, like COVID-19 research at Wuhan. This kind of makes it seem like Fauci didn't tell us the truth. Did he know? I mean, he is the director of the infectious diseases department at the NIH, or did he purposefully try to loophole and evade that, right? Anyway, that's just politics, okay? That stuff, and I'm not forgiving each side here. I'm just saying this kind of stuff, when so many people hate Fauci, but so many people respect him, does enrage certain people. And especially if you start saying like here's Scott Kelly, an astronaut, replying, going, Elon, please don't mock and promote hate towards marginalized groups like LGBTQ or people like Fauci, whose motivation has always been saving lives. Personally, I have a little bit of an optimistic bias in people, that I think people want to do the best that they can with the information they have available. I do think there are crooks like Sam Bankman-Fried, but this is where Elon responds and says, no, Fauci lied, and that killed millions of people. Not awesome. And he's really referring to the idea that, well, because Fauci lied about the research we funded, COVID killed millions of people. It's stretchy, right? Like, I don't know that you could say, okay, because he wasn't fully transparent whether he knew or didn't, he killed millions of people, right? And I know that's not exactly what he's saying, but that's the implication here, right? It's just, this is the kind of extreme fringy stuff that, is a discussion that's worth having. We should research all of this. But should the CEO of Twitter be doing this? No. Journalists and other users of Twitter and professors should be studying this, or you and me, we should research and try to share our opinions on this. But somebody who's trying to attract advertisers is just making a bad business decision, fighting, wokeism or trying to fight COVID information or whatever, right? And then you get into these debates about, are pronouns mocking people or not? And Elon picks out the people who support him and ignores the people who don't support him. And the point is, it's fine if you want to do this, but when you're trying to attract advertisers, don't be surprised if advertisers leave. It's that simple. And if advertisers leave, Twitter does worse, and therefore Tesla stock potentially goes down more because Elon has to sell more to fund Twitter and this drama. And it's just like, again, it's okay, in my opinion, to bring attention to this. I'm never suggesting anybody should be silenced. But Elon should chill the F out a little bit. It's just not fair to the people who are trying to support him. It is not fair to ostracize people who are trying to support him. There are people sending me messages about how they're canceling their orders. And that's going to trickle down over to the rental car companies too. If Hertz is like, well, people politically don't want Teslas, maybe we stop buying Teslas, It's just bad. Anyway, thanks for watching. It's very frustrating. I bluntly think Elon needs to shut the F up. That's my take. Again, bring attention to stuff, but stop with the extreme stuff. Let somebody else do that, okay? Simple.